Donald Trump's name is off the Kennedy Center after workers in the early morning of June 13th took down the president's signage after blowing past a deadline to comply with a judge's order. Construction crews first showed up at the iconic arts institution on the afternoon of June 12th, mounted scaffolding, and geared up to take down the president's name, letter by letter, from the sign on the building's facade. Yet for several hours, the scaffolding sat there with no action. The center's Trump-appointed leadership waited until after an end-of-day deadline for workers to remove Trump's name. Work to take down the letters finally got underway at 3:10 a.m. Eastern Time, lasting about 30 minutes. A tarp was placed on parts of the scaffolding, seemingly to block views of Trump's name disappearing from the venue. Ahead of the drawn-out removal, the scene outside the Kennedy Center turned into a spectacle. Hundreds of onlookers cheered and sang "God Bless America" as workers in hard hats with bungee lanyards clipped to their fluorescent yellow vests prepared to remove Trump's name. Many in the crowd were dressed as if for a performance at the stately Washington, D.C. venue. Onlookers were festive and chatty amid thunderstorms that threatened to delay the work. Passers-by honked their car horns in approval. The hundreds on hand during the balmy D.C. evening chanted, "Take it down." Carolina Clarence, an area resident, came to watch with her dog, Rufino. The retired kindergarten teacher called it ridiculous that Trump's name was put up at all. "We're going to see this coming down," said Clarence, adding that Trump's name on the building hurt the storied institution as artists canceled shows and donations fell. "They're going to destroy the Kennedy Center." Workers arrived on site shortly after a series of court decisions denied last-minute bids from the Trump administration for a stay, as it appeals a federal judge's decision ordering Trump's name be removed from the Kennedy Center's title. Workers cover the scaffolding with a tarp ahead of removing lettering from the facade of the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts, following a federal judge's order to remove U.S. President Donald Trump's name from the institution in Washington, D.C. U.S. District Judge Christopher Cooper, in a May 29th ruling, said adding Trump's name to the center was illegal and ordered it be stripped from official materials and eliminated from signage within 14 days. By June 12th. In his June 12th denial of the Justice Department's request for a pause, Cooper said defendants failed to prove their appeal would be successful and failed to show that the Kennedy Center would be irreparably harmed by following through with his order. With the clock ticking toward an end-of-day deadline, the Trump administration later filed an emergency petition with the U.S. Court of Appeals, requesting that it intervene to pause the order before 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But the panel of judges denied the request, paving the way for the removal of Trump's name off the building. Intermittent thunder and lightning didn't stop the crowd from gathering around the building to watch the spectacle, some in fancy clothes amid a festive attitude. Earlier this week, the Kennedy Center's attorneys advised staff to adhere to the judge's order. Trump's name was quickly removed from the center's website and scrubbed from employees' email signatures. The center, however, waited until the judge took up a last-minute request to suspend the order before taking down the most visible display of Trump's attempted takeover of the center, a large all-caps sign on the exterior of the building's marble facade that said, "The Donald J. Trump and the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts." Get the Susan Page newsletter in your inbox. Get the latest story from Susan Page right in your inbox. Delivery varies your email. Now it's back to the title that's been displayed on the building since the center opened in 1971, the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts. The removal of the president's name from the center is a visibly striking blow to Trump's efforts to remake the center to his liking. The Kennedy Center voted in December 2025 to rename the venue in honor of Trump, arguing he helped secure federal funding critical for the center's transformation. His name was added to the building's exterior sign less than 24 hours later. Cooper, an appointee of former President Barack Obama, ruled that the Kennedy Center's Board of Trustees, made up of primarily Trump loyalists, violated the 1964 federal law that created the center to honor the late President John F. Kennedy when it voted to rename the center after Trump. The judge said the statute makes clear the Kennedy Center must be named for and is meant to honor President Kennedy alone. The judge's order came in a case brought by Representative Joyce Beatty, D. Ohio, an ex officio board member at the Kennedy Center, who sued to stop Trump's rebranding and attempted 2-year closure for renovations. In his ruling, Cooper also overturned Trump's plans to close the Kennedy Center for 2 years, beginning in July to accommodate massive renovations to the building. The closure was approved in a March vote by the Kennedy Center's Board of Trustees. In his 94-page opinion, Cooper questioned the credibility of the conclusion from Matt Floca, the center's executive director, that renovations couldn't be carried out without shutting down the center for the pubic. The judge also said the center's board lacked any meaningful say in the matter when it voted for the closure on March 16th. Trump already announced the closure plans on Truth Social on February 1st.